You're all warmed up, ready to go. That's good.
Well, it's nice to see you in person, Anthony. I think we've been exclusively email contact, so kind of a good opportunity to see each other.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Couldn't hear anything, and I thought I was on mute, and I realized that I had my speaker turned down. I turned the speaker way down at night, so I don't disturb other people in the room.
Glad you can hear, Ned. It's very important.
Yeah.
Well, it is a hearing, so I guess we better be able to hear. So let me pull up my. All right, well, I see it's 9 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'll pull up my screen here. Good morning. I'm calling to order the administrative hearing of June 11th, 2020. My name is Ned Thomas. I serve as the planning director for the city of Milpitas and will be the hearing officer for today's virtual meeting. We start each meeting with a public forum. Members of the online audience may submit written comments to the hearing officer on any subject that is not on this morning's agenda. The online agenda for this meeting includes a web link. It's at the city's website, and you may submit comments there. Comments submitted tonight will be read into the record by the meeting secretary. Commenters may type.
Your microphone is doing its thing. Yeah. Try again. No. Nope. This is a problem with, unfortunately, we have got to, I'm going to send you new speakers or something. You poor guy having to deal with that. Okay, try again.
Is that better?
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
It's like a gremlin that comes out. So, as I was talking about the public forum, so if anyone has comments on anything not on this morning's agenda, then please submit those comments via the city's website. And comments submitted in writing will be read into the record by the meeting secretary. Commenters may type their name and city of residence for the record, and comments will be limited to 1 minute. No response is required from city staff or the hearing officer on any item that's not on the agenda. So, hearing secretary Medina, do we have any comments for public comment?
Planning Director Thomas, we have received no public comment.
Okay, great, thank you. Then we'll proceed to the public hearing portion of today's agenda. The hearing procedure and order of input will be as follows. I will identify the item on the agenda, then staff will provide a brief report. The applicant or the representative may then have up to 5 minutes to speak and should identify themselves by stating their name for the record. If you do not wish to speak, and you're certainly not required to, you can waive your time. And then after the applicant or their representative has spoken, any member of the public who wishes to speak on the item may provide testimony up to 2 minutes per speaker, either for or against the project, and all speakers are required. Well, speakers may state their name for the record. And then after the public has spoken, if there are any additional comments from the applicant, then you may do so. So for today, we have just one item on our agenda. I'm going to call that up here. Oh, there it is. We have just one item today. It's an addition to a home in the rear yard. It's 400 square feet. And this is at a hearing because the home is located in what's called a planned unit development. And the name of the planned unit development, that's a zoning term. And the planned unit development is called Kennedy Glen. And the requirements are for that to go to a public hearing. I'll turn the time over to our associate planner, Adrian Smith, for the staff report.
Thank you, and good morning, Director Thomas, fellow staff, and project applicant as well is joining us today, and members of the public. So again, I'm Adrian Smith, and I'm associate planner here with the city. and I'll be presenting a minor site development permit application for this rear yard addition at 300 Moretti Lane. So to begin, this minor site development application is a request to construct approximately 400 square feet rear yard addition to an existing family home located in the Kennedy Glen PUD. Next slide, please. This is an aerial image of the project site, 300 Moretti Lane. It's a single family home located on the eastern side of Milpitas, and it's proximate to East Calaveras Boulevard and Interstate 680. It's in an existing built out single family neighborhood. Next slide, please. So the following table demonstrates the surrounding land use and zoning designations of the properties that surround the project site. We see here that with the exception of the property to the east, which is a single family home zoned R16 and located outside of the Kennedy Glen PUD, all other properties are single family homes zoned as R13. Next slide, please. Here we see the proposed site plan on the left, and it shows the property boundaries and overall layout of the site. And on the right, we see the proposed floor plan. The applicant intends to demolish the existing rear exterior wall, including an existing bay window, and construct approximately 400 square feet of living space, including a new bedroom and a new family connected to the existing kitchen. Next, please. So here we see some exterior images of 300 Moretti Lane, demonstrating the existing colors and finishes of the home, which includes clay roofing and a stucco facade painted in a neutral tone. The first image is more of a northeastern perspective, actually, but it shows us a little bit of the rear and side of the property. And in the bottom image, we see the existing rear exterior of the home. Next, please. This slide shows us two elevation drawings that demonstrate how the home will look with the rear addition in place. The top elevation shows the north side of the home, and on the left of that north elevation, we see the new single-story addition, including a rooftop skylight. The bottom elevation is looking straight on at the new addition. So both elevations demonstrate that the exterior materials of the new addition will match or complement the existing home. Next slide. Staff has confirmed that the findings for the proposed minor site development permit can be made. These findings include respect for the nature of the site, the development pattern of the neighborhood, and compatible building materials. Proposed modifications that meet the functional requirements of the site, and proposed modifications that won't interfere with the privacy, enjoyment, and view of the surrounding property. Additionally, because 300 Moretti Lane, the project site is located in Kennedy Glen Planned Unit Development, it must comply with all zoning and planned unit development standards. It must propose building materials that complement the existing home, and it must have received prior approval from the neighborhood association and the adjoining neighbors. Staff have determined that all of these planned unit development requirements have also been met. Next slide, please. Staff have also determined that the project is exempt from further environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act per section 15301, existing facilities, and section 15183, consistent with a community plan, general plan, or zoning. Next. So this project was noticed in the Milpitas Post newspaper, and no prior comment was received on this project. Next slide, please. Staff recommends opening and closing the administrative hearing and approving minor site development permit number MS20-0053 based on the findings and subject to the project conditions of approval. This concludes staff summary of the report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. And Director Thomas, our project applicant, is here. He's the homeowner. I think we were supposed to be joined by the architect as well, but I don't see him on the call. So the homeowner's here, Anthony, to answer any questions if you wish to address him. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Smith. We appreciate your staff report this morning. So for the applicant, Mr. Hune, do you have any comments or questions?
No, I don't have any comment or question. And my apologies for Ken not being here. His daughter got sick yesterday and he couldn't make it.
That's fine. Thank you. We appreciate you being here this morning. It actually makes it a little easier to have these virtual meetings because you can tune in from home rather than having to traipse down to City Hall. So we do appreciate your time. I will open the public hearing, and for the recording secretary, do we have any comments?
We have not received any public comments.
Okay, great. And we'll close the public hearing. And since we don't have any comments, I don't think the applicant will have any rebuttal or follow-up. So we'll go straight to my comments. This is a very straightforward application. One of the reasons that the city created this type of a hearing is so that we can dispense with these very minor, relatively straightforward items very quickly when they require a public hearing. Otherwise, you'd have to come down on, well, under normal circumstances, you'd come down to City Hall and have a planning commission meeting. And so just a year ago, we set up these administrative hearings. And I think this is exactly the type of application that these hearings are for. In this case, it's a relatively minor addition to your home. The things that we're looking at, as was mentioned by staff in the findings, primarily it's compatibility with the neighborhood. And we also take a look at the privacy issues. Is the land use appropriate? Obviously, it's an addition to a residential home in a residential neighborhood, so you meet all of the zoning requirements. And then, of course, we take a look at the design, the materials and the colors, the compatibility with the neighborhood. And I think in this case, the primary thing is that tells me that everything is just fine is that your HOA and your neighbors, you've verified that they have all seen your plans and approved of those. So I have no qualms about the compatibility. This is always based on the findings. The 3 findings, actually in this case 4 findings, were read by our associate planner, and the application and the request meets all of those findings. So the application is deemed approved, and we thank you for coming this morning, and we wish you well in putting on the addition to your home. I think it will look very nice and give you lots of extra room and comfort. So the item is approved. I do have a little bit of legalese, if I can pull it up. The hearing officer's action on today's item will be final when the permit is signed and mailed, unless the permit or the environmental clearance determination, which in this case is an exemption if they are appealed, and that would be done in accordance with the Milpitas Municipal Code. Any person aggrieved by any decision of any board, commission, or department head to the city of Milpitas may appeal the decision to the city council by filing written notice of the appeal with the city clerk in 12 calendar days, within 12 calendar days of the date of the said decision, and paying the required fee. The time limit is strictly enforced. And with that, we conclude today's administrative hearing for June 11th, 2020. And again, thank you very much for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ned.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. If you have any follow-up questions, you can coordinate with Adrian, and she'll take care of that. Thank you very much for being here this morning.
Yep. Thanks, Ned. Thanks, everyone.
You bet.
Have a great day.
You
Bye.
too.